Welcome to the jungle, guys. Today we'll be putting out our first episode of the Versus series, and to start it off, we've got none other than the mighty Black Mamba versus the Mozambican Spitting Cobra. They'll be going through 5 different categories, and in each category we'll give them a rating out of 10 to find out who is the top dog between these two snakes.
Okay guys, so in terms of handling, of course, Black Mamba, number one of the most difficult snakes to handle, and that's not just because he's super aggressive and crazy, but look how long the snake is. He can lift almost 2/3 of his body off the ground, super arboreal, super strong, able to come right at my hook stick. Of course, you've also got to be really slow and precise with what you're doing, because any kind of crazy movement, excuse my Durban tracksuit, it's a bit cold today, but any kind of crazy movement can get this snake going. If you're working in a room and the door slams, boom, snake is crazy all of a sudden. So this snake is definitely by far top of the list when it comes to dangerous snakes to handle, the Black Mamba. Okay, now Mozambican Spitting Cobra, handleability. So generally not as difficult as the Black Mamba is. However, the spitting makes it a lot more difficult. If you're not prepared to catch a Mozambican Spitting Cobra, you don't have a good pair of sunglasses or safety glasses or a visor of some kind, it's going to be exceptionally difficult. Now, this is the snake that gave me most of my allergies. The problem was, when I was younger, I was a bit stupid, and I used to just try and like put my shirt over my face and try and catch them. Obviously, being around the Venom a lot, please don't spit at me, buddy. Being around the Venom a lot made my body produce a whole bunch more histamines, and now I'm allergic to these snakes. So even though I've had a really small little interaction with the snake, I can already feel myself start to wheeze up, tighten up in my chest, get a little bit itchier. But really difficult snakes to handle, especially on a hook stick, because as you can see, when this guy wants to move, let's see if we can get him going. Don't spit at me, buddy. I mean no harm, yeah? If he really wants to go and get away, it's quite difficult to keep the snake on a hook, because you can see he just slides right off of it. So if you're just using a hook stick, pretty difficult snake to handle. However, not nearly as close as the Black Mamba. Black Mamba is a whole different ball game. Now we're talking temperament. The Black Mamba, not looking good on this. He's going to get a high score. They are extremely skittish snakes. Any kind of quick movements, like I mentioned before, and the snake's going to be behaving a completely different way. So because of them being so skittish, they can often be quite unpredictable, because any kind of slight movement, maybe a shadow comes past, maybe a bird flies over your head, anything that can spook the snake. It's not that he's reacting worse than other snakes will, it's the problem that he's so quick. Like, to try and handle this snake and try and predict what he's going to do and be able to keep yourself out of harm's way when he's moving at 100 kilometers an hour is a little bit difficult. So again, the Black Mamba gets a really high score on this one. Okay. Now, in terms of temperament, these snakes are actually pretty good. Generally, they'll just try and get away from you. They're super quick. They'll try and get away. But the problem is, if they are cornered, they don't need to be too close to you to start doing what they need to do. These guys can spit up to 3 meters away. So generally, what you're going to find with the temperament of a wild Mozambican Spitting Cobra is one that just hoods up, spits, and then runs away while you're rubbing the gunk out your eyes. In captivity, they calm down quite nicely and eventually almost stop spitting. You can see this guy, he doesn't really spit at us too much unless we really provoke it. But again, temperament, a lot more of a predictable snake. So generally an easier snake. Now let's talk Venom. Of course, Black Mamba again, not looking good. He's going to go high up on the points here. This is one of the only Venoms in the world that 100% of the time, untreated, you will die. These guys have got one of the most potent neurotoxic venoms out there. Any kind of bite from the snake, you'll start feeling symptoms extremely quickly. If you're allergic like I am, even quicker. It's a very dangerous bite and super fast acting, which makes it a problem in rural areas where people don't have access to cars to get to hospital really quickly. So a bite from this snake out in the bush, really bad situation for you to be in. Now, the venom of this snake, not as lethal as what it is for the Black Mamba, meaning he needs a little bit more of it than what a Black Mamba does. However, super destructive. Mozambican Spitting Cobras have got postsynaptic neurotoxins in their venoms, as well as a majority of cytotoxins. So not only are you going to have necrosis, you're going to have postsynaptic neurotoxicity symptoms as well. So this, you bastard, why'd you do that? We're going so well. Anyway, so these snakes, postsynaptic neurotoxins, but majority of it is cytotoxic. So lots and lots and lots of necrosis with this snake. Very, very, very bad bite to have. Okay, now one that Black Mamba is actually looking a little bit good for in this matchup at least is the recovery. The recovery time from this bite, once you've been given that anti-venom, you've been intubated and you're in the clear, you're looking at, let's be generous, we'll call it about a week of recovery time before you're back on your feet and ready to go, as long as there's no out of the world symptoms that come up. But generally a normal bite, within a week you should be good. Now let's talk recovery. This snake being cytotoxic predominantly, of course that means a very, very, very long recovery time. That cytotoxic, once it starts to destroy all those cells, makes it a long path to recovery after the bite, which is why these guys are so dangerous, because again, like the puff adder, you have that problem of secondary infection setting in. Another one that's looking good for the Black Mamba, bite frequency. Now, even though they are the deadliest snake in Africa, they account for very few bites. Over a 10-year survey, only 7 bites were recorded from the Black Mamba. And generally, those 7 are people like myself who work with these snakes. 99% of the time, this snake's going to see you and he's going to go the complete opposite direction. So, not too high up on the rate of bites. Okay, so bite frequency. This snake is biting a lot more people than what the Black Mamba is. Especially in South Africa, this is quickly becoming our most dangerous snake. Now, why are so many people getting bitten? Because most of the time, this snake is going into people's houses after things like frogs, like rats. They're not really fussy. They'll pretty much eat anything. And of course, that brings them into contact with us. And once they're in contact with us, generally people will try and kill the spitty snake quite quickly, and they'll end up getting bitten. Another big problem is that sometimes these snakes will go into people's beds, because most of the beds in the rural areas are quite low to the ground. The people roll over, get bitten by the snake.
So there you have it, guys. Black Mamba coming out number 1. It's going to take a mighty snake to kick him off the top list. If you guys all enjoyed that video, please remember to like and subscribe.